Good morning, friends. Welcome to Energy Engineering classes. I am Professor V. Sushant Kumar, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Angadi Institute of Technology and Management, affiliated to Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi. Before we start discussion on the topics, let us have a look at the syllabus. So, Energy Engineering, this subject is divided into 5 modules. So the first module consists of two topics. One is thermal energy conversion system and the second topic is chimneys. So in thermal energy conversion system, so we'll be studying about general scenario, energy scenario of India and what are the policies, and we'll be discussing about different types of fuels and how the coal is burnt, okay, and the stokers, different types, oil burners, and we'll be discussing about a pulverized fuel and equipment for preparation of the burning of the coal. And next topic, chimneys, we'll be discussing about natural, forced, induced and balanced draft chimneys and calculations. And we'll be discussing about superheaters, desuperheaters, control of superheaters, economizers, heaters, reheaters. In the second module, we have two topics. First one is diesel engine power system, and the second topic is hydroelectric energy. In diesel engine power system, we'll discuss about how the power is generated using the diesel engine. So basically we'll discuss how to start the diesel engines and auxiliaries like cooling and lubrication systems, filters, centrifuges, oil heaters, intake and exhaust system, and we'll discuss the layout of diesel power plant. Next, coming down to the hydroelectric energy, we'll discuss about hydrographs and flow duration and mass curves and unit hydrographs and simple numericals on that. And we'll discuss about storage and pondage, pumped storage plants, low, medium and high head plants, what is penstock, what is a water hammer, what is the function of surge tanks, gates and valves, and general layout of hydroelectric power plant. Next, module 3 is all about solar energy and solar cell. In solar energy, we'll discuss the fundamentals, solar radiation, estimation of solar radiation on horizontal and inclined surfaces, measurement of solar radiation data, solar thermal systems, we'll discuss introductions, basics of thermodynamics and heat transfer that is involved in this, and flat plate collectors, evacuated tube collectors, solar air collectors, solar concentrators, distillation, solar cooker, solar refrigeration. Basically we'll study how they function using the solar energy. Then we'll discuss about solar cells, modules, panels, array constructions, photovoltaic thermal systems. Module 4 consists of wind energy topic and tidal power. So in wind energy we'll study about what are the different properties of the wind, availability of wind energy in India, and wind velocity and power from the wind, and what are the major problems associated with the wind power energy, and types of wind machines and their characteristics. So we have basically horizontal and vertical axis windmills, we'll be studying about that. And then tidal power, we'll discuss what is tide and how we can harness the energy using the tidal power and fundamental characteristics of tidal power. Module 5 and the last module in this subject is divided again two topics. First one is biomass energy. So here we'll discuss about what is photosynthesis process, what is biofuels, biomass resources and biomass conversion technologies, urban waste and energy conversion, and biomass gasification. So the next topic is green energy. So we'll discuss about fuel cells, classification of fuel cells and operating principles, and the thermodynamics involved in the fuel cells, and ocean and nuclear energy. We'll discuss introduction about ocean energy, nuclear energy, and thermoelectric and geothermal energy, and working principles, and what is zero energy concepts. So first we'll start with module number 1, and later on we can go to the other modules. So in today's class we'll start with the module number 1. So you can refer these textbooks and reference books prescribed by the university. Apart from this, if you get any materials through the internet, you can also refer them for understanding purpose. So we'll start with module number 1, that is thermal energy conversion system. Already we have discussed the topics that are covered in this module number 1. So we'll go ahead with the individual topics. Let's look at the introduction part in this module. So we know that energy is available in various forms like mechanical energy, electrical energy, thermal energy, and it can be converted from one form to another form using suitable arrangements. Electrical energy is an essential gradient for industrial and all around development of any country. It is preferred for following reasons. It can be generated in bulk. It can be easily and economically transported from one place to another place over a long distance, and it can be easily efficiently adapted to domestic and industrial work. Electrical energy can be generated conventionally from various sources such as fossil fuels, nuclear and hydro resources. Electrical energy can also be generated from various renewable energy resources such as tidal, wind, solar, geothermal resources. So in this subject we are going to study how to generate the electrical energy using various energy resources. Now what is the energy scenario in India? The installed capacity of the country as on 2016 was about 3,02,088 megawatt, comprising of 2,10,675 megawatt thermal energy and 5,780 megawatt nuclear energy and 42,784 megawatt hydro energy and 42,849 megawatt of renewable energy. So this data is as on 2016, so it might have changed by now. Okay, so next, renewable energy resources. The installed capacity as on 2016 from renewable energy resources is around 42,849 megawatt. The total renewable installed capacity comprises of 26,866.7 megawatt from wind energy and 4,273.5 megawatt from small hydro plants and 4,946.4 megawatt from biomass power and biomass gasifiers and 6,762.9 megawatt from solar power and urban and industrial wastes. India ranks 4th in the world in terms of installed capacity of wind turbine power plant. So the overall view of this slide is, so here we are just going to discuss, we have seen the statistical data about the energy production in India. So the data that I have presented is from 2016. So if you get the latest data, you can update these data. Coal is the mainstay of India's energy sector. The all India installed capacity of the country is about 3,02,088 megawatt as on 2016, out of which about 1,85,172 megawatt, that is about approximately 61.3%, is coal based. Of the total power generated in the country, 77.8% comes from coal based thermal power stations, even though they constitute only 61.3% of total installed capacity. Electricity consumption per capita is the index of living standard of the people of the country. The per capita energy consumption of India is still 600 megawatt, while it is 12,000 megawatt in China. In the last slide, we have seen the energy scenario of India. Now we will go to the types of fuels that we use for the steam generation. Steam power plant uses fossil fuels to generate steam. The fuel may be in different form such as solid, liquid, pulverized, gaseous. So pulverized refers to the powdered form of the fuel. and the selection of fuel depends on the availability and economical conditions. Solid fuel, the best example for solid fuel is coal. Coal is the most abundantly available fossil fuel. Coal is highly carbonaceous matter that has been formed from prehistoric vegetable deposits which have been decomposed and solidified under combined effect of great pressure. The chemical substances in the coal are carbon is 50 to 95%, hydrogen is about 1 to 5.5 percentage, nitrogen is about 0.5 to 7 percentage, oxygen is about 2 to 40 percentage, and sulfur is about 0.5 to 3 percentage. There are different types of coals like peat, lignite, bituminous coal, anthracite coal. Next we have liquid fuels. Most of the liquid fuels are derived from the crude and its byproducts. The major constituent of petroleum or the crude oil is about, we have about 80 to 85 percentage of carbon and 10 to 15 percentage of hydrogen, and along with that we have varying percentage of sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, and few compounds of vanadium. The fraction from light oil to the heavy oil are, we have naphtha, gasoline, kerosene, diesel, and finally we have the heavy fuel oil. So this heavy fuel oil is used for generation of the steam. So what are the advantages of liquid fuel? It has high calorific value and less as formation, and they can be easily stored in the tanks, and they require less space, and next one, combustion can be controlled easily, easy to transport through the pipes. The next type of fuel is gaseous fuel. So we can get gaseous fuel in two form. One is the natural gas, and the second one is the manufactured gaseous fuel. But this manufactured gaseous fuel is costlier than the natural gas. So generally we use natural gas for power plants, and the natural gas is obtained from gas wells and petroleum wells. The major constituent of natural gas is methane. It's about 60 to 65 percentage, and along with that we have hydrocarbons like ethane, naphthalene, aromatics, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. The natural gas is transported from the source to the place of use through the pipes for a distance to several hundred kilometers. The natural gas is, it is colorless, odorless, and non-toxic. Its calorific value is about 25,000 to 50,000 kilojoule per meter cube. Next topic is equipment for burning the coal. So you can burn the coal either in the lump form or in the powdered form. So based on that we have two different types. So one is the solid fuel or lump form. In that we can burn the coal by hand firing or mechanical stoker firing, but we don't use hand firing now. Okay, we in present industry we use mechanical stoker firing. And second one is a pulverized fuel. A pulverized fuel is nothing but it is in the powdered form. So in this we have two types. One is the unit system, and second one is the bin or central system. So we will discuss about stokers, unit system, and bin system in following slides. So what is mechanical stoker firing? So nothing but these are the equipments used to burn the coal. Okay, though it is costly, generally they are used to feed solid fuels in the small and medium size power plants. Okay, so why we use this? Because the combustion is more efficient, fuel handling is automatic and combustion control is easier, and a faster response to load fluctuations. Low quality fuels can be easily burnt and suitable for small to high capacity plants. Okay, now let's see the principal working of mechanical stoker. So basically there are two types. One is the overfeed stoker and second one is the underfeed stoker. Now let's look at the overfeed stoker. So in case of overfeed stoker, the coal is supplied from the top, okay, and we are supplying the air from the bottom, as you can see from the sketch. So primary air is supplied from the bottom, whereas from the top we are supplying the coal. Okay, so this portion, the bottommost portion, we call it as grate, through which acts as a support for the ash collection, as well as we have the passages, okay, for the primary air. So above the ash we have a incandescent coal. So the air which passes through the grate, so it has two functions. So the first function is it cools this grate, and as it passes through the ash it gets heated up. Okay, so it reacts with the incandescent coal, and we get a carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, hydrogen, and water vapor. Along with that we have water vapor. So here the combustion takes place, heat is generated, and now as the gas moves up, so it will have some unburnt carbon monoxide plus a volatile matter. So for that secondary air is supplied so that the complete combustion takes place. So once the complete combustion takes place, so these gases will next enter into the boiler, where it heats the water. So this is about overfeed stoker. Okay, I'll just recall the points. In overfeed stoker, the coal is supplied from the top and the air is supplied from the bottom, and we also supply the secondary air to ensure that the complete combustion has taken place. So the next one is underfeed stoker. It is just opposite of the overfeed stoker. In case of underfeed stoker, we are supplying the green coal from the bottom, and we are also supplying the primary air under the high pressure from the bottom through the grates. Here the ash collection takes place at the top. So as the green coal moves up, it reacts with the air, and we get the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and volatile matters, nitrogen, hydrogen, along with the water vapor. And as the incandescent coke moves up, we are supplying the secondary air to make sure that the complete combustion takes place. And this type of underfeed stoker, it is suitable for semi-bituminous and bituminous coals which have very high volatile matter. So the difference between underfeed stoker and overfeed stoker is, in case of overfeed stoker, we supply the primary air from the bottom through the grate, and coal is supplied from the top. In case of underfeed stoker, primary air and the coal is supplied from the bottom. So the ash gets collected at the top. Okay, so that is the difference between the overfeed stoker and underfeed stoker. So now we know what is stoker and the principal working of stoker. So basically we have it works on two principles. One is the overfeed, and second one is the underfeed. So now let's look at the types of stokers. Okay, so in overfeed stoker we have two types. One is the conveyor stoker, and second one is the spreader stoker. So in conveyor stoker we have a chain grate stoker and traveling grate stoker. Okay. So next, in second type, in the underfeed stoker, we have a single retort stoker, multi retort stoker. So in the following slides, so we will study all these stokers, overfeed stoker and underfeed stoker. So how they work. Okay, so let us study the chain grate stoker. So this chain grate stoker is overfeed stoker and it is a conveyor type stoker. So we are supplying the, in overfeed stoker we are supplying the primary air from the bottom and the coal is supplied from the top. So this is the coal hopper. Means coal hopper means where the coal is stored and it is about to delivered into the furnace. So here this is the chain system which is driven by the gears. Okay, so as the coal comes and falls on this chain system, okay, it starts moving. Okay, so as it moves we are supplying the primary air from the bottom. So here you can see this PA refers to primary air. So as the coal moves forward, we are supplying the hot air. So the reaction takes place and whatever hot gases that are formed, if there are any volatile matter or carbon monoxide, we are also supplying the secondary air. The complete combustion takes place and these flue gases are next supplied to the boiler. Okay, so as this coal gets burnt, it gets converted into ash and here the ash collection takes place. So basically this is how the chain grate stoker works. I'll just recall the important point. Chain grate stoker, it is a overfeed stoker and it is a conveyor type stoker. Here we are supplying the primary air from the bottom and coal is supplied from the top. So as it moves along with the chain, we are supplying the hot air, the combustion takes place, and to ensure the complete combustion we are supplying the secondary air. Advantages of chain grate stoker is it is simple in construction, low initial and maintenance cost, self-cleaning stoker, and combustion control is simple by a control of feed or a chain speed along with the air supply. Means we can control the combustion in by three methods. So one is controlling the chain speed and next one is controlling the feed of the coal into the furnace and along with that controlling the supply of the air. And next advantage is its combustion efficiency is high. So along with that we also have disadvantages. So what are those? It is suitable only for small capacity plants and coal losses are high as the unburnt coal may also move with the ash. And the last disadvantage is if caking coal is used, ash clinker problems may arise. Next type of overfeed stoker is spreader stoker. It's also called as sprinkler stoker. So here coal from the hopper it is supplied to the feeder. Okay, so from the feeder it is supplied to the spreader. So the function of this spreader is, so here we have the blades rotating at high speed. So the coals once they fall into the spreader, it is thrown into the furnace. Okay, and we are supplying the air from the bottom through the grate. So the combustion takes place here and as the flue gases moves up, if there are any unburnt gases or volatile matter, we are also supplying the secondary air and complete combustion takes place and the flue gases are next supplied to the boiler. So here why the name is given, here we have the spreader which throws the coal into the furnace. So that's why we call it as spreader or sprinkler stoker. So it's a type of overfeed stoker. So even here we are supplying the coal from the top, and we are supplying the primary air from the bottom. Advantages of spreader stoker are a wide variety of coal can be burnt, varying from lignite to the bituminous coal. And next, having high ash content can be burnt. And third advantage is clinkering problems are reduced due to spreading action. And the last advantage is the system provides thin and even fire bed and results in high rate of combustion. The next type of stoker is single retort stoker. So this is underfeed stoker. This is example for underfeed stoker. So here we have the coal in the hopper, and it is pushed into the furnace using the piston and ram movement, and we have retorts. Okay, we have retorts uh, which pushes the coal into the furnace from the bottom. So here the coal is applied into the furnace, okay, with the help of the retort from the bottom, and we are using single retorts, so we call it a single retort stokers. Okay, so here the coal is applied from the bottom, and the combustion takes place, and the ash gets collected at the top. You can see the sketch beside. Okay, the green coal, the fresh coal is applied from the bottom, and we are also supplying the primary air. So as the coal moves up, okay, incandescent coke is formed, and further reaction takes place, and ash gets formed, and it's collected at the top, which gets separated later. Okay, so that's why we call it as a single retort stoker. Okay, because we have single retort, and it's a underfeed stoker, means we are supplying the coal from the bottom, and we are also supplying the air from the bottom. So, and we are also supplying the secondary air from the top. It is not shown in the sketch, but we supply the secondary air from the top to ensure that a complete combustion takes place. So the next type of stoker is multi-retort stoker. So in the previous slide we have discussed single retort, wherein we have only one retort and pusher, but in multi-retort stoker it consists of more than one, about 15 to 20 retorts along with the tires and pushers. So you can see from the sketch. Okay, so these are the pushers. Okay, and which push the coal, okay, into the furnace, and at the bottom we have wind box through which the primary air is supplied. Okay, so it is, even this is the example of underfeed stoker. So as the coal moves down, since it is inclined, as the coal moves down, so it gets burnt, and the ash is collected here at the bottom. Okay, so the difference between single retort and multi retort is, in case of single retort we have one retort and one pushers. Okay, and in case of this, in multi retort we have more than one, about 5 to 20 retorts and pushers, and it is the example of underfeed stoker. Okay, let's see the advantages and disadvantages of multi retort stoker. So the advantages are, since the combustion rate is high, such stoker is more suitable for high capacity power plants. Okay, we can use it for high capacity power plants, and its combustion efficiency is high, and as the fuel is pushed off by the pushers, they perform the cleaning action as well. Means multiple actions are taking place. The fuel is supplied to the the furnace, as well as the cleaning action also takes place. Okay, so this stoker can respond quickly to the variation of demand. Based on the requirements, we can easily control the supply of the coal and other parameters. Okay, so the disadvantages are it is maintenance is expensive, and initial investment is high, and there is a ash clinker problems may arise in this, and it needs a larger area for the installation, and we cannot burn low grade and the high ash content fuels successfully. Okay, so this is about the stokers. In the next slide we'll go to the pulverized fuel burning equipments. So the topics discussed in today's class are, so first we discussed about the syllabus content of energy engineering, and next we discussed about the energy scenario of India. We considered 2016 as reference year, and we studied the statistical data of the energy scenario of India. Then we discussed what are the different types of fuels that we use, like solid fuel, gaseous fuel, and liquid fuels. And next we discussed about so what are the equipments that we use for burning the coal. Okay, so basically we use stokers are nothing but they help in burning the coal, and principal working of stokers, basically we stokers works on two principles. One is the overfeed stoker and second one is the underfeed stokers. Okay, next we discussed about types of stokers, like we discussed the overfeed stokers example, and we also discussed underfeed stoker examples. So this is the topics that we discussed for today. So in the next class we will discuss about pulverized fuel and equipments that are used to burn the pulverized fuel. Thank you.